don't actually know what you can do.
I'm going to put a funny face on.
No, just look at what you can do.
On the podcast.
Basically. It's like 8:30. It's not bad. Get started in a minute. And 10. It's not bad. Hi, Andrew. Andrew Moore. Pat testing. Amazing pat testers if you need a pat tester. Andrew Moore.
What the fuck is a pat tester?
Pat tester. Goes around checking electrical equipment.
Is it someone that tests pats?
I don't think pats can be checked.
I think they can.
Never know. 16. Might as well go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Manor from Heaven's Mental Mondays. I've no idea how this is going to go. In some senses, I've got some kind of form, script, if you will, to somewhat follow. But yeah, we just want to make it kind of interactive, drop in, drop out. The videos will be here. We're going to probably move to YouTube or do it, both at the same time. Again, we're interested to see where this can go, and hopefully, like we say, involve other people as well. We want to make this about our local community and having it as an opportunity. If you've got a story to share, it's been a really hard and unprecedented year in so many senses when it comes to times to be alive. Like I've got a 4-year-old child, and I don't know what's going to happen in 10, 15 years with no school, or this situation has never behold us before. You can't even go back and compare situations. There's some correct, it is what it is to a lot of people. But if we can, support Mark Shields, was that an actual request, or you can come and be in my video if you want, Mark? Don't know if you actually meant to click it or not.
Okay, Adam.
I don't know. Comment if you do, Mark. So I don't know if that's a genuine request. So if you, for my own concerns of him is what will be. We don't know, and that's what part of this will be. Is an opportunity for people to either tell their own struggles, whether it be life or the last year, how they've coped, how you've coped, what's your strategies, can that help anyone else? That's what the hopeful plan for this is. Today I'm going to share my story. Thought it was a good starting point. Hello, Mark. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to start from. And hopefully other people, me sharing my story, will open you guys to share yours as well. I must say as well, if you aren't comfortable with sharing yourself, even if you write it down, that is as good as speaking it sometimes, getting it on paper, and I'm more than happy to read it out, or one of our angels, or someone can express that for you. You don't have to use your name, you don't have to use places, you can treat it as anonymous as you like, and it's got to be, anonymity is part of my own structure, which I'll go on to. I'm in recovery for alcohol, and a few people will know that I'm 24 and have been in recovery from alcohol for 3 years. So I came in when I was 21, and that was into the AA rooms and so on and so forth. And the rooms around here, I'm the young, I've been the youngest member for from who I've met so far. So obviously more of that will come in a second. I think that's pretty much what we envision. I'd say Mental Mondays, for what I've got it as a Mental Mondays, will be a live-in check-in with guests each week, offering aftercare, as part of an bringing people into our ever-growing community of angels, if you will. The aftercare is going to be something with counsellors, with local professionals as well. We can probably signpost you to the areas that if you overshare or something like that, you feel you're a bit vulnerable after, then just say, if you want to talk to me, then talk to me. If you want to talk to a professional, we can help with that as well. So I think that kicks off what our eventual plan will be, how I envision this going. I'm anxious as hell. I'm not great at talking anyway, let alone in a situation where I've got to talk to obviously all you guys. But we've all got our own interesting stories and lives to behold, and why this platform will be here. So me. Normally, I think we're going to try and do like interviews and things, but I think for the first one, let's just treat this as a pilot and see how it goes. So Daniel, Manor from Heaven. So yeah, obviously everyone knows what Manor from Heaven is. We're a house clearance social enterprise. We were established in the southwest last January, which would have been probably the least recommended time to set up a business by any professional, by any measure, really. I'd had an interesting year before that, doing youth work, which I thoroughly loved. Came to an end at a bit of a shit conclusion, but I'm going to go into that later as well. But again, I'm not going to mention names. It's got to be anonymous in a lot of senses. So yeah, Manor from Heaven, social enterprise for us. My social entrepreneurship, I suppose, comes from a troubled childhood in terms of my own history. I was born in 1996 in Yorkshire, in Barnsley, into a interesting lifestyle. Mother was a working girl who I got adopted when I was 2.5 from that situation. Moved on to a family. My dad is an amazing person and continues to be. My mum was an interesting one, and we went through some, interesting life experiences. And I'm always as open and honest and as vulnerable, and I hope that other people can be. You share as much as you want, and it's got to be of your own accord. For me, there was a lot of kind of neglect. There was a lot of loanship. I think if I'd been a kid in the times of now, I'd need to be at school. School is my safe haven. School is my escape from, home life. School was so much more than I would not like to be locked down with my mum at the current situation. God knows where I will be. I really don't know. But yeah, the experiences which came from that, the constantly, longing or looking to, I think that created a lot of ongoing, problems which benefit me now in my social kind of missions and willing to help and wanting to help. School was good up until my mum and dad divorced when I was about 11 or 12. That was interesting. Obviously hit so many areas of emotion at that age. You don't know what's going on. It's life. A lot of kids go through that. There was a lot of back and forth. I got kidnapped, brought down here, went to school down here for a little bit, went to Knights Templar. I've always been in and out of the area since a kid. I've got to Tropical Area growing up 2-3 times a year. That hot place holds special places in my heart and always will. So down here means so much to me. So yeah, we obviously went for a few years, but got to about 14, 15, school wasn't really working for me. I was predicted all right up until year 11. Year 11 came and that was it. I just fell apart, started going in a lot of senses, fell apart from education, but found work. I was working from the ages of about 11 or 12, just after my mum left. I managed to get a job doing pot washing, just walked into a pub, they were offering jobs, went and did it and started from there really. Stayed in catering all through school up until year 11. I was still working, going home from school, getting changed, working. It was a escape from dealing with my own mental you know, admitting that I'd had the childhood that, you know, what I've gone and what trying to block everything out is what I'm trying to say. Is probably what I was trying to do in the mental health, and you know what you do to suppress emotions and feelings so you don't have to deal with it right now. Well, why would you want to? You know, especially at that age, because you just want to be a kid. So for me, for work was always an escape. You know, it was, I didn't have to sit there, I didn't have to deal with it. For me, up until, so like I say, year 11, still working. They offered me more hours. My tutor, for some reason, would mark me in school, even though, you know, she knew I was at work. She'd ring my work. It worked perfectly. I, you know, didn't do too well in my GCSEs. I left with, I think, a C in catering and a C or B in IT, but that was it. You know, prospects for me in terms of educational was slim. But I had my catering, I had my, you know, I was doing kind of like civil service, so quite, you know, high level of catering. I was well established in that. I was a really good people person. I was really, you know, bar manager by the time I was about 16, which again isn't legal, but wearing a suit, wearing a tie in a, you know, quite a, you know, a high end place, questions aren't asked. It's you know what started into me and why I'm in AA today, because questions wasn't asked in them places. So for me, straight to apprenticeships when I left school. I think for me, well, I keep saying that, it's probably an anxious thing, and we've all got our own little ticks. So I've got to laugh as well. So yeah, so catering, stuck with that, gone on apprenticeship, did my level 2, I think it was, in hospitality services. Then went on to do supervisory and management, which I passed. Took me a couple of years, but that boosted my English, my maths back up. So in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the educational, I was a prospect again, which really didn't seem much because I was doing catering for such a long time. It was a lifestyle. I had no life behind that, and that was probably a really good thing for my mental health in some ways at that time. But coming up to 18, 17, 18, you know, life just didn't seem to work. Behind the scenes, I was, you know, I enjoyed life. I enjoyed going out. I spent a lot of time and a lot of got in a lot of wrong places in a lot of wrong ways. I chilled with other people, so I always got in nightclubs when I was a lot younger. Did a lot of the, you know, nightlife of where I come from, and it's, you know, to look at it when you get to 18 and realize that you need the, you know, I needed drugs, I needed alcohol, I needed things to keep my mental health instead, more than, you know, work, more than anything. So I, you know, quit work at about 18, 19, went on a somewhat downward spiral to a point, ended up in Porlock, went through doing some care work, which I wasn't proud of. You know, I did things which you look back and you just think, wow, you know, but in a lonely, secluded environment, didn't know where I was, had quite a lot of money to, you know, play with at the time, and it just, you know, it doesn't feed well to someone that is bored, especially to someone that's you know, an untreated addict, going to full strength. So from there, the care work ending was a pretty big shock, but I met my partner, who I've been with for coming up to 6 years now, which, yeah, is amazing. And that started the path onto where I am today, putting me into the person I am today. Her family helped me a hell of a lot, and continue to do so, in so many ways. But also I realised along the path that I did help myself in some ways as well. It's a, you know, it's such a two-part, it's got to be a two-part thing. You know, you've got to realize that you've got to do something for you, and you can't rely on the people around you, but they are definitely there to help you. You know, so you should never be scared to ask for that help, ever, ever. So I always get sidetracked. It's, again, part of the anxious. So yeah, going through losing the care work, meeting my fiance, got another job, walked literally probably after that, after not working for, before the care work, for not working for quite a while and just tossing about, literally walked into the castle in Porlock. They gave me a job. God knows why, but I thank them so much to this day for it. And I think they know that, massively. Yeah, they gave me a job and I was there for 2 to 3 years. went up and down, but in that same time, I found AA and I found recovery through going through different. No, sorry, that's not true. So from there, I went to work at Miller's, sorry, down Paul at Weir. That's places. I forget that. That's why it's a pilot. It'll be fine. So yeah, I went to work at another place, and that was very secluded. That was straight back into the life. That was straight back into full catering. It was interesting. It was very interesting. But through that process, my drinking got worse. My my habits increased. It was affecting my actual life. So someone around me said, "Do you think you've got a problem?" And I said, "No, not at all. I can drink normally." And then realised after going to a meeting and speaking and hearing some people share about their stories, I realised that maybe I don't have full control, but I've got some control. Surely. I didn't. I don't to this day. I haven't drank for 3 years. I think it was the 14th of October. When we went in. And yeah, it's not normal. I don't know. It's not socially accepted. It's somewhat not socially normal for for not drinking. It is. It's a very taboo subject as much as mental health seems to be with men in some ways. So I'm just looking for a drink. I need a drink. But yeah, so it's definitely still a very much taboo subject in so many ways, especially when it comes to going out. What do you do when you go out when you're young? What do you do when you go out to the pub? It's part of our lifestyle, and especially through this period. I think the last year, because of my bar work and because of my history, I've never really struggled with not having a drink per se. Before this, I had I'd say pretty good um, lock on my mental health when it comes to that. But the last year has been probably the most testing one for that so far. So yeah, recovery and AA, I think, is the best place to go on to next. I think for me, going into recovery and starting to work on my mental health opened so many doors. I started to do some counselling, some private sessions. I went through a bit of the NHS services. They were so much more so much more helpful than I first would. When I first was going into it, I was completely negative and against. It's not the greatest, but what came of it and what came out of it was sensational. She was very impartial, and it's about finding someone that works for you. When it comes to mental health, you've got to find someone you can talk to, you feel that comfortability with. For me especially, it doesn't have to be, that's not for everyone, but for me it's very much, you overthink the situations, you overthink the counsellor. Well, there's so many things going around in your head when you're doing these things. So I think one thing that AA got me to do, and quickly, was to just stop and go, right, I need to look at myself here. I need to, I've got some issues that I need to deal with. So over time, through different counsellors, it didn't work with just one. Through many meetings, I'd say I struggle some days. Some days are easier than none, but other days for me to come from what I know I came from, to roundabout it, summarise. I probably haven't given it the best of explanations, and probably scuppered it up. But for someone who came from Yorkshire, who was adopted, really didn't have many bright futures aligned to him, especially by the teachers around him, and has now created a social enterprise within the Southwest in the hardest year that's just gone. I'm hoping that this and what Mental Mondays can be will be a inspiration to other young people, to anyone really, whether you be young, whether you be old. You've got the time, so why not use it? Why not do something with that? The last year for everyone, people probably think they've not, you've not done this, or you've not got round to doing this, but in reality, just being happy and just getting up in the day sometimes, give it the little things, give yourself positives for little things as well. I'm so hard on myself for the small things, and so hard on myself for you know, certain aspects about, you know, you always focus on the bad things in life. Just focus on one good thing in a day. You know, that's all you've got to do in a lot of ways. And the only ways that I can somewhat deal with my own instabilities and, you know, admitting those instabilities as well to other people is so healthy, but it's seen such as a weakness. And, you know, this video in some senses, you know, some might find or, you know, say that you've got to be, you know, why can't, for the last 2-3 years that men have been talking about mental health, why is it still such an issue? Why are the people still killing themselves? You know, there's been people around here recently that have, you know, there's so many people that I know from so far in the AA, in my community, in our community, sorry, in, you know, the AA community. I've seen people drop left, right, and centre, and it's just such a, yeah, it's so worrying in so many ways. And this is my cat, who is weird and also wants to be on the video, obviously. You say hello, mooncake. So yeah, I don't know how that went. That's probably roundabout parts of Danny's story. Yeah, like I say, I'm not a fan of talking live. I'm only hoping it's going to get better. Given better situations, probably going to do it at the cafe, do it in an actual interview format, but I want to get the ball rolling. What I'd really like is next Monday, to be able to interview someone and do it kind of in that style. There's an opportunity, I think, on the Facebook Live to do group calls and things like that. So for now, I want to keep it on here. I want to keep it on keep it on Facebook for now. See how it goes, see where it goes. Like I say, we want this to be a part of you guys, and yeah, each week, hopefully someone new. Yeah, and yeah, we'll go from there. I think so. Yeah, like I say, hopefully we can get some music and get it properly done, and the whole works. I really don't know how that went for the first one, but I really thank everyone for coming for that, and listening to me waffle on and not remember any of it. So, you know, thank you to everyone, and hopefully it can be a bit more finessed and all that shit. Lots of love.